Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard. Joining me as always, co-host Jack Mangan for our long-awaited Victory Monday podcast. How are you, Jack?
And on a Monday, actually, as opposed
And on
to a
Monday.
Tuesday or Wednesday, which happens frequently. I'm excellent because I was really hoping it was going to be a Victory Monday. I didn't want to come into this one looking at 6 games without a win, especially against, once again, lower table opposition. So very glad that we have a Victory Monday to discuss today, back on top where we belong. Nerves settled down a little bit. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. It's our first Victory Monday of 2026. Here we are in February. But
Mid-February.
Mid-February. But and I think, the big thing to kind of to point out, if I can find my mouse here, is that most importantly, Schalke is Tabellenführer. We are back in first place after a interesting last month and a half, 2 months, whatever you want, 5-6 games. We're back top of the table. It's a Victory Monday, as Joseph says. And as Med Hunter says, it's been a while. It has been a while. Yeah, with how the other results were going on during the weekend, Schalke all of a sudden dropped to 4th place before we even kicked off on Sunday. And so, like you said, a win would have been good just for us to get back off the schneid. But also, if we didn't win, we're going to be dropping further in the table, and it's hard to play catch up once you're behind. And so the win was a huge result for us. Happy about that, no doubt about it. I feel better. I think you are too, Jack. Are you feeling at least a better place than where we were after this victory?
Obviously, not a whole lot's changed. Just we needed to stop the bleeding, and we needed to pick up 3 points against opposition that we should get 3 points against, which we were unable to do the previous week. So, just glad that we took advantage of it. We can get into how pretty it was or how good we should be feeling, but at least for the moment, like I said, back on top of the table, 3 points in hand, and that's good enough for the moment.
And we gotta bless our Messiah, Edin Džeko. If it wasn't for him, who knows where the heck we'd be in the second half. He has been a godsend, and of course, as you'd expect, he would be in the starting 11 for this one. First, look at the home team being Kiel. In goal, they had Krumraj, back three. They had Nekic, Zec, and Ivanzic. In the midfield, you had Rosenboom, Meffert, Kaladi, Tolkin, Terkelson, Kaprelik, all behind Harris. Obviously, a lot of people know a lot of these names in here, but I think whenever you talk Schalke, you're going to talk wings, wing play, and particularly Rosenboom and Tolkin on the opposite wings there. And then obviously you got some guys up top who can score some goals in Kiel. Thoughts on their lineup and what you were expecting from them heading to this game?
Look, U.S. men's national team youth pool sickos have known of Mr. Tolkin for quite a while. So I was obviously looking forward to getting a look at him against Schalke in this one. So that was, from the American bias perspective, a player that we're interested in. But was interested in a lot of these matchups. Obviously looking to see more of Ndiaye in terms of what he can bring. And then also Becker, in terms of his recent struggles. So I thought, some of those battles on the wings were going to be important in this one for sure.
No doubt about it. Looking at our lineup, obviously, for the most part, similar starting 11 with one little deviation. Karius in goal once again. Back four of Becker on the right, Katić, Kuruçay in the middle. Kuruçay returns with Ndiaye on the left, and then you had El Fawzi and Schallenberg holding up the middle with Ljubicic, Karaman, and Aušiše on the left with Džeko at the start of this one. Good to see Džeko get another start in this one. Obviously, he played 71 minutes last game. And then you got the young Frenchman with French connection on the left-hand side, really, with Ljubicic getting one another start and all behind Karaman. Thoughts on our starting 11 in this one?
For the most part, yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I want to be seeing Ljubicic early on. I didn't think he had a good game in this one. I thought this was probably his worst performance of his performances since he's been at Schalke. But I'm still interested in seeing, him and getting him involved. So I like that he's starting alongside Karaman. Aušiše, we talked about it last week. I thought he was a revelation in terms of what he added to the attack and his dimension and the interplay out wide. I thought that was evident in this game as well, which we can talk about. And you mentioned, Edin Džeko, glad to see him in the start. I think when we signed him, we weren't sure short term, was it going to be a situation where we're pretty consistently seeing him getting 30 to 45 minutes Hey, it'd be great if we could get, close to 60. The last couple of games we've gotten that, at least. So like that's awesome. I think if we can for the rest of the season be getting that kind of minute total from him, that's gonna do us wonders. So overall fairly happy with the lineup. If there's still things we can talk about, with Becker right back and other things. But
good to see Kuruçay obviously get the start in this one. I agree with you. He added a lot in the attack in last game, and wanted to see what he would be able to do off the start. And overall, I think obviously Kuruçay and Ljubicic have a big part to do with it, and Karaman has for the longest time been a big part of it. But I think with the insertion of Džeko and his contributions in the attack, I really want to see this team start to click on all cylinders. And the one thing we haven't been doing in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games is score early. And so you wanted to see how this team would do off of a punch in the mouth like last week, where you had a 2-0 lead, blew that lead. How would they respond, right? You have one of two ways you can respond. You can respond where you duck up into a ball and you become a coward and you just struggle and you just look a shell of yourself, or you attack. And what we saw is our attack, led by Džeko, led by Karaman, really get out the gates and try to insert themselves quickly and early. Set pieces become back in our favor once again. We saw early in the game, where it was 12th minute or so, where off a set piece, ball goes into the box, off a corner. Kuruçay, I believe, get the flick on, goes right to Džeko. Džeko kind of one times it in. Wasn't a shot. It looked like he was looking for somebody. Sure enough, he finds Keenan Karaman and get the opening goal. 1-0 there. Great start. Džeko again getting involved. Karaman putting it away. Good to see Karaman getting a goal there. But I love that we got an early goal, and off a set piece. And Karaman, obviously, so three things there I love about the goal. Tell me your thoughts after that 12 minutes there with the goal there.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a kind of broken play off a set piece, so I don't want to make too much of the effort. But, once again, the positive thing from the Džeko perspective is using his body to gain position on a 50-50 ball, hold somebody off, and is able to redirect it back into the mix on frame. And Karaman happened to have good position, and it happened to be unmarked, and was able to likewise make a nice touch on the ball and quickly redirect it in. So those are basically your two best offensive players, and they're combining early, which is what you want to see early and often. And that's exactly, how you want to start off the game. So want to see more open play goals if possible, but we know, especially with Džeko, there's going to be set piece opportunities, whether it's free kicks, corner kicks, whatever. And we need to take advantage of those as well. But bottom line is we'll take whatever we can get. So I'm happy that we can go off on the road and grab this one early with, once again, those two kind of talisman players being involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting to go early is always big for us. That's what was big for us in the first half of the season, is getting those early goals and making the other opposition play from the back, forcing us really to get into our sweet spot, which is defending very well, or at least it used to be our bread and butter. We continued on. I think we continued to attack as a half went on, and looked like we weren't going to be resting on our laurels. I think we kind of learned from last week that we needed to score some goals just to instill some confidence in us, both offensively and defensively. Eventually, we would see that damn break once again off yet another set piece, another corner kick, where this time ball gets swung into the middle, or swung into the box. Edin Džeko this time with the flick on. Kind of goes past everyone, hits off the post. Kuruçay hits off Kuruçay, goes in the net, I should say. Comes out, goalkeeper kind of like kicks it out, and then Karaman once again puts it back. I think we all saw that Kuruçay got the goal there. Nonetheless, up 2-0, 29 minutes in this, Jack. Perfect start to the game, I think.
A little bit of redemption time for Kuruçay after the goal conceded last week. So love seeing him get on the end of that. And then once again, like you said, Džeko involved, not going to likewise overstate his involvement on this one either, but goes to show. Both of these first half opportunities, a couple set pieces, Džeko's getting touches and redirect. You know what I mean? He's having an impact on these plays. Great. Great to see. So 2-0, love it. And props to Džeko for continuing to make an impact. This is why we signed him. So
and there had been warning signs leading up to this second goal for us. Luckily, we took advantage of it 2-0, but an immediate response by Kiel. Tolkin swings in the ball in the box, and then they score a goal. All of a sudden, referee calls a foul. They go to VAR, and for once, a call goes our way, because it was a rather weak call, in my opinion, Jack. I probably should have counted in all realization. but a strong warning by Kiel that they weren't messing around in this game. So while the goal wasn't allowed, they countered quickly and they scored on us, but ultimately taken away. But thoughts on the quick strike ability and the non-call for the goal?
And I believe it was James Thurgood on the call, right?
Yes, it was.
Friend of the pod. James has been on the pod, right? Friend of the pod, James Thurgood?
He has. Okay. He was furious about the call.
That's why I was bringing it up, is because when that happened, he was like, "Oh, like, come on, like, surely that's not enough contact." Like, he was like, "You cannot wave that off," or like, and like, look, I think it's the definition of what you and I get upset about with Shaka sometimes, is don't give the referee the excuse to make, don't put two hands on the defender and give them the opportunity to make that call. I think it was a bad call in this case. I think they should have seen through it. I think Kuruçay went to the ground pretty easily in the situation. So I'm kind of with James Thurgood and with, Kiel fans that maybe feel a little bit aggrieved by this, but it's the kind of call that goes against us all the time too, which is like, just don't put yourself in the position to have them be able to justify bad calls like that. But yeah, fortunate piece of play for us.
Yeah. So we escaped the first half to a 2-0 lead there. Coming out the gate in the second half, we would see Becker come off. Ayhan came in, I think, much to both of our delight, many people's delights, I think, after that first half. Thoughts overall in the first half? I think 2-0 lead was generous for us. I thought Kiel was quite dangerous, especially down that right backside for us. The Timo Becker, Ljubicic side. Very, very strong attacking by Kiel. I thought at moments we looked very, very weak. I thought Karius looked good, for sure. Džeko, obviously, with the 2 assists in the game, he looked good. Happy to see Karaman and Kuruçay get off the snide, but I think it was a very flattering 2-0 going to the half. I was still very worried.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's defensible. I think that's fair. I didn't quite have the same view of it in the sense of like being overly flattering, but I know what you mean by that. Yep. I think they could have scored a goal. I think they were good for a goal in the first half. And I do recognize that both of our goals came off of sort of somewhat broken, fluky set piece type opportunities. And we didn't have as many clear cut chances, but I do think that we had good offensive play outside of that. Significantly improved potentially in some ways from other weeks. I mean, I thought the interplay of Džeko-to-Karaman, Aušiš, and Jaya on the left-hand side, where people can swap positions and just kind of cycle. And there's a lot of movement off the ball and interplay, the overlaps. Within the first minute and a half of the game, you saw Njaya overlap and get a nice cross in right into the center of the box, which we were talking about the delivery from those wide areas and everything. So I think there's positives to take away. But yeah, I understand what you mean in terms of there was some danger. There was an opportunity in the first half as well. I think probably 25th minute, somewhere around there, where Katić got beaten on the deep left-hand side, really good touch of the ball, and then it was crossed to the center of the box, and he was wide open and wasn't able to finish it. But that could have easily been a goal for Kiel too in the first half. Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, I think the attack looked good in the first half. It was good to see the 2 goals, obviously, that happened, and much of what you talked about, the overlap, the passing between the players, how Džeko, you could really see his fingerprints all throughout the attack, but then you look defensively, it's like we still haven't learned from some of the mistakes we've had coming in leading up to this game. And granted, we still had a big goose egg, defensively. It was still worrisome for me. I still have the PTSD from last week and the week before that, where the opposition can score in a blink. And so I'm like, and I think I did this in the Discord where I was like, we need more goals. We need more goals. I'm not going to be content until, we're 2 minutes left in the game. We got a 2-goal lead, but nonetheless, still 2-0 up. We had a lot of shots on target too. So there's a lot to like in that first half, but it's still, it was just the ease that Kiel was be able to get their attacks in the game, despite, Karius's heroics. That's what was really troubling to me. And then, we saw in the second half, a lot of that continued on for Kiel where they kept attacking. I don't know if it was so much us just retreating back and trying to hold that lead or Kiel really bringing it to us. But eventually, that wing play by Kiel paid off where Terkelson gets by it seemed like every defender at that point and then gets taken down by Schallenberg. Say what you want to say about the defenders leading up to the Kiel attacker as he got through everyone. It was a pretty stupid foul by Schallenberg. There's no point, and I think even James Turgo said this in a call, there's no point for him to go down to that point of the game. He's going away from the goal. what are you doing there, Schallenberg? Like you're desperate at that point. That's something extra from Katić, not from Schallenberg. So we've seen this with Schallenberg before. And that leads to a penalty that they step up and score a goal, make it 2-1 and game on at that point, Jack.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Džeko, but like I agree with you in the sense that it didn't seem like he was particularly baited into making that tackle. It just almost seemed like a frustration challenge, but in the box, which is not where you make those. You make those like in the middle of the field, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seemed it was poor from Schallenberg for sure. I thought he had a decent game overall. That was not a good moment.
And I just realized things still on screen. Yeah, it's bad goal, bad penalty. They score a pretty easy penalty there. I didn't realize until after the goal happened that Karius was wearing a cap a la Oliver Kahn, back in the day because of the sun. Talking about typical German football. It's like old school German football there. But yeah, it just at that point we're up 2-1, and we're holding on for dear life because they're still creating chances. We had some opportunities ourselves. Karaman probably had at least 2 sitters that he missed point blank, just whiffing on shots, which is not Karaman like at all. The one guy who's like we expect to put those away outside of Džeko, it's Karaman. And man, he has some pretty bad whiffs in this game, Jack. I think had he put one of those away, it would have eased at least my tensions and probably a lot of people's tensions. So it wasn't like we weren't doing anything offensively, but again, it's the constant not being able to stop a glaring weakness for us, not being able to adapt and keeping this thing so that pins and needles till the very end of the game.
I mean, look, I think once we scored our second goal, late in the first half, I think that woke them up, and it took a little bit too long for them to kind of dig in a little bit and start, taking back some real estate. And I think the second half, for the most part, was largely kind of more back and forth. But I think as the second half went on, we kind of ceded position, I think, more intentionally. And kind of bunkered in. There were some late subs that sort of reinforced that. So some of that I think was a little bit by design. But I mean, when you look at some of the comments in the chat, I mean, I agree. Like it's frustrating when some of that goes well for us in the first half, and then it almost feels like we kind of back off of that to some extent, which is not to not give Kiel credit for the improvements, but
for sure.
I mean, it looks like we have the ability to maintain control of the match, but maybe not for 90 minutes. That sort of intensity level.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100% about that. So we win the game 2-1. It was tight until the end. Karius had to make some great saves. Kuruçay made a goal line save at some point. We got away, got the point. It was an important victory. With the win, we bounced back on top of the table, as we mentioned off the kickoff. Obviously, Darmstadt, they drew their game. Hanover got a win, so they bumped up to third place. Paderborn's there. It's a 5-way race right now for the 3 spots, really, and really honestly the 2 top spots, because that third spot is really not a favorable one for any Zweite Liga club. So it's getting tight up there. This is a huge, important victory for us. I think it was much needed. I kind of want to start with the positives first, because there is obviously positive. It's a victory Monday. How can you not be happy about it, right? We had all these good things happen. We got a new affiliation with Pachuca from the Mexican League. So there's a lot of good stuff. We get the win. I think the main new talisman is helping our old talisman. And I mean, Edin Džeko, his emergence now, he's got, 5 goal contributions in the first, 4 games played with, not even full games, just four matches. So he's doing a lot. Before, our main talisman, our captain, Kenan Karaman, was the guy doing really it all. He was really carrying the whole team on his back, didn't have anybody to kind of link up with and set things up. Yeah, Musa Silva to show up occasionally, or a goal here and there, but it's really the Kenan Karaman show. Now, Edin Džeko is in here. He's obviously got 2 world-class assists in this game, or 2 assists in this game. And some of these other playmakers are now involved in the team. You saw the attack looks much better now. Obviously taking a lot of weight off of Kenan Karaman's shoulders, which he's got to love. I love it, because we've always asked for being a multi-dimensional attack now. So where before used to be like, all you got to do is stop Kenan Karaman and you're going to stop Schalke. At this point now, it seems like oppositions have a little bit more challenging issue, because not only is Edin Džeko a poacher, a goal scorer, he can score from anywhere. he can also set up plays. He's going to hold up the ball. Like you mentioned last week, he likes to drop deep and kind of kickstart the attack that way. He'll provide assists. He'll link up other players. And so now you got that plus Džeko-Karaman. Now if you got Aušiše and Ljubicic or Musa Silgan involved, this could be something really, really interesting and complex offensively. But I think none of this happens without the emergence of or the signing of Edin Džeko and showing up how we had hoped you to show up, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unfortunately, once again, it's no shade to Musa Silva in particular necessarily. No. It's just we weren't getting any production out of that position very early in the season. With Remmert and some other people before they went down, it looked like there might be some physicality enough where there could be something there. And then once that kind of faded away, it just Gomez and Silva weren't able to do anything, and so it falls to Karaman, but doing that essentially without a striker on the pitch. Which makes it even harder for him to impact things. It's obviously great to have Džeko. Your only concern is that, for some reason Karaman decides to sleepwalk now that he has Džeko on the pitch. Obviously, that hasn't been the case. Karaman's already scored, I think, twice since Džeko's been here. I think he scored in the first appearance that Džeko made, and then also, in this one as well. So, if anything, it's taking pressure off, opening things up. And we've seen, the amount of attention that Džeko gets in the box on set pieces, but also, top of the box as a target man when plays kind of reaching that area. And it allows somebody like Karaman, who's already can cover, he's not the fastest, but he covers ground and can move to different areas of the pitch. And I think that allows him to move in those spaces a little bit more effectively and with a little bit less attention. So all of that's beneficial. Now that you're seeing, since Becker's been injured, we've had issues, but now in Jaya with some overlapping stuff and Aušiše on the left-hand side, like all of that is opening up a lot, I feel like. So I feel good about the fact that we're being able to score now, at least in 2026. The last couple of games, obviously the Bochum game is a little bit different, but like 2 goals a game fairly consistently is much better than we had seen at times, and I think that has the potential to get even better from here necessarily. I don't think obviously we've unlocked all of the chemistry and everything that can be gleaned from the moves that we made in January. So there's more to come, hopefully. For sure.
And I wonder though, to play devil's advocate, is this a little bit of a double-edged sword? Because obviously you have the Džeko effect, the genius of him, where he can score and set up people, and players seem to thrive off of his skill set. And so I think that's what we're seeing at the moment. Yes, Karaman's still getting his goals, but Kuruçay's got a goal now. Aušiše is now getting involved. Ljubicic, like we saw last game. Schallenberg has jumped more into play. Alpha is benefiting of this as well. But none of this is necessarily because the team system is creating these high quality chances. I think this is the Džeko effect is creating these chances. I'm with you though. I think there's potential that we could eventually see that this team evolves into a really good attacking team if we can figure that part out. But for the time being, it just seems like it's everyone feeding off of Džeko. At least that's what I see. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing where it's not necessarily the players being skillful, but just that Edin Džeko's attracting so much attention, and then just the confidence of playing with them is getting these guys to play a little better. It's not necessarily that Muslic is setting these guys up with this is what we do and da. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I buy that a little bit. I do think there's been obviously a change in shape and a change in approach since Džeko comes that is part of the system implementation for Muslic. But yeah, I do think some of it is just pure class as well and pure quality and people being able to combine and just feed off of that kind of stuff better. And once again, also the attention that he takes. So yeah, I see both angles of that. I think I'll have a more definitive statement on that, like 3 or 4 games from now.
Yeah.
Once again, all the January signings come in, we can see kind of the full effect of what he's had. But yeah.
Now let's slowly transition from good to bad. Obviously, this win was good and we're happy about it, but as you said, it's not necessarily it doesn't erase everything that's happened prior to this. One man who kind of sort of erased was Hasan Kuruçay, a guy who had been struggling leading up to this game. Obviously he was out before with a suspension, but he didn't play well the last couple of games. This was a stark turnaround for him, in my opinion. I thought it was a 180 degree turn. He obviously got the goal, but played better, had a goal line save. I thought he was probably, if not, Ndaye could probably get involved with this, but Kuruçay is probably our best defender in the game. And so I thought he played a lot better. And while he played a lot better, and that'll be the first part I'll ask you. The second part is Katić has become a liability in my eyes. But first with Kuruçay, thoughts on his performance in this game and how if maybe you feel the same way as I do, or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't see it the same way as I do, and that he's played a much better game, goal notwithstanding.
No, I do. I mean, far from flawless. Obviously, we talked about the penalty situation that was not the penalty, the goal that was reversed, disallowed in the first half that Kuruçay went down on. I don't think that was particularly good defending from him on that play. True. There's other things to forward with as well. But I think we said last week, despite the bad game, was like he was our best defender, I think, in the first half of the season, and was just coming back from the suspension thing. And I thought he had some injury stuff late in the first half of the season as well. So like. That was not overly concerning to me, and I was waiting to see how he did when he came back in, and I thought that he was by far our best defensive player in this game. Katić is, as far as that's concerned, I think recently he's looked pretty bad. I didn't feel that way about him for the majority of the first half of the season, and I thought actually that when he was paired with Ayhan, he looked a little bit better than he has in recent weeks with Becker. I don't know if that's anything to do with it, but I think once again the pace of Katić and some other stuff is getting exposed more. I feel like the game is less in front of him than it had been in the first half, and I'm seeing him get just beaten for pace more. What are the other things that you're noticing specifically that are frustrating you with him at the moment?
I think that him getting beat for pace. I think what we're seeing is that, and I'm with you there with the Ayhan thing being more comfortable because Ayhan has a lot of pace, and Ayhan was I feel like a little timid where yes, he would go and try to push up when he's playing in that back three or on the right-hand side, but he didn't want to leave his other center back to expose where they would just be one-on-one. While I feel Becker is the opposite, where Becker has been pushing up higher, and then you got Katić trying to leave alone with a winger. And in the game, in this sense, was Tolkin, not the guy you want to be left alone with. And the week before that was Holtman. So Katić has been having to cover up that right back position, right center back position more. He's going to have to take on the wingers more, and he's getting clearly beat, for pace 1-on-1. He's made some questionable defensive plays. And I'm with you. I haven't been down on Katić all season. I think, like you said, the plays have been in front of him for the most part. He's the way the other pieces in the defense were there. It was favorable to him, but I think we haven't seen that in the last 6-7 weeks, and in particular in the 2026. And so I feel Katić has been more exposed now. At least his flaws, he's been put in inopportune positions, and his flaws are just showing up big time. Just no pace. He's one-on-one. He's just getting beat horribly, missing markers and stuff like that. And as I am with Becker, down on Becker, and now down on Katić as of recently, it doesn't mean I want to get him off the team. No. I think when these situations happen, it's probably good that they maybe sit down and view the game from the bench just a little bit, just to see maybe it opens up their vision a little bit better, and they like, or look at the tape more. I don't know, but I think it's fortuitous for us that he got a stupid yellow card in this game. Now it's his fifth one. He's going to get suspension. He's going to get time to be forced to sit out. So I think that came at a good time, because I think it looks like he's been getting more and more exposed in 2026 than he had in 2025. I still like the guy, but I think his liabilities defensively is costing us huge, because then we're forcing, I think you said probably last week or the week before, about like Karius has been forced to make more and more big saves. And we don't necessarily want that. We want him to be there when he has to be, but not every freaking 5-10 minutes in the game forced to make a big save. And Karius had a lot of big saves this game. He's probably the man of the match for me, despite what everybody else did offensively and Kuruçay and all that. I think Karius saved our ass big time in this game. But Katić, his liabilities has really been bothering me. So he'll get to sit in this game, and we'll get to see a different variation defensively. Any thoughts on how you think the defense should look? I mean, obviously there's Ayhan, there's Becker, there's Kuruçay, and there's other pieces involved, Sanchez. With Katić out, two questions. Who do you want to see in the back 4, 3, whatever defense formation they have? And two, if that new defensive shape plays really well, does Katić come back immediately?
I think it's likely to be Ayhan. I almost kind of want it to be Sanchez, just because I'm more curious to see more minutes from him. people might call me crazy for that. I think Katić has the previous history with Muslic. He was brought in, because of that. I think it's unlikely that he loses his position or is out for more than just this suspension. So I don't think that's going to happen. I also don't think he's been as bad as Becker's been recently, and Becker wasn't dropped in this game either. So no, I'm not anticipating him to lose his spot or anything like that. But I think it'll probably be Ayhan next week.
That's my worry, that it's Ayhan, and I don't say that in a bad way. I want to see Ayhan. I want to see what I would like to see. I definitely want to see Ayhan, period, right? I want to see Ayhan. I want to see Ayhan on the right side where Becker's been playing. And I wouldn't mind seeing Becker taking over that Katić spot, whether that means Becker and Kuruçay swap, and so Kuruçay has that Katić role. But I want to see Timo in a center back position, not on the wing. Put Ayhan there because Ayhan is very versatile. He can do that. Or you have Ayhan probably on the wing side, and then maybe put Sanchez in there. I'm not against that either. I kind of want to see Sanchez. He's been decent okay for us this year. He hasn't been as worrisome as we saw last year with his foul trouble. So
yeah, and I think if there's a time they put him in there, it's against Firth or the two bottom feeders we're playing in the next couple of weeks too. This is probably a good time to get some more of those minutes.
And on the flip, if they do well, whoever this partnership is, even if it's Becker, whatever, even if they do well, I guess Katić could come back in the next game, right? He's one of our key players this year, and he's a Muslic guy, so I don't foresee him being out for that long. But hopefully he or Muslic pay attention to what did go well, if that does happen, no knock on wood, and try to adapt the game to make sure he isn't left hung and dry like he has been the last several weeks. But I mean, I'm also not against if it's let's just say it's Sanchez and Ayhan in there instead of Becker and Katić. Give him one more week, especially because, like you said, if we have two lower opponents coming up, it gives Katić a chance to rest, watch what's going on, and then he's a little bit more fresher coming back out. And Becker too, if you sit Becker because he's clearly not fit. Give those two guys a little bit of rest with these two lower games coming up, and then bring him in for the final stretch where we know it's going to be a grind. We need some of the grind that we saw in the first half of this game where we got those 2 goals in. And it's going to be like that for the rest of the season. And then we need every point we can get. Obviously, we're in a 5-way horse race now for the top 3 spots. So that's kind of what I want to see. I'm not going to expect to see Katić out for more than a game, but hey, crazy things that happen. Let's see what happens. I'm curious to see how much he changes. I fully expect what you said. It's going to be Becker on the right side and Ayhan in the middle there, which will be okay. But we gotta figure out a solution defensively because it's just not happening at the moment, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, at least it wasn't a multi-goal concession game. Easily could have been based on some of the chances they had it, and it's been not what we were expecting based on the first half performances. So yeah, the offense has improved, but the defense can't slide too much for us to be able to maintain our positions. That's what we're concerned about.
And let's keep it on the defense here for a second, because thoughts on Becker's performance in this game. Obviously, he's been struggling. Came out at halftime. Ayhan did come in. Part of that, in the last couple of weeks in particular, last 3 weeks probably, is that the wingers have exposed us on the right-hand side. In this game, John Tolkin, we had no answers for him. He just ran riot. Last week, it was Holtman. Week before that, it was whoever the heck Bochum had. And I'm not blaming this on Becker per se, but his performance has been well. People have mentioned in the chat, he's not fit. We've said it before. He just he hasn't seen the same player as he did before. He needs a break. But what do you make of this? Can't be good for him mentally, the way he's been performing, then yanked, halfway through a game, but 2 games in a row now.
I actually didn't think his first half was that disastrous.
Okay.
Like relative to last week, I thought he was better in the first half than he was. So I don't know if it was a fitness issue or just he was purely tactical. But yeah, it hasn't been good. I know, there was this huge emotional high when he signed. Then for him to, go down with that injury before he can really get going effectively is a huge, bump to him. But then it's also like it's also a tough position to be in because your team's in first place when you come back. And if you get to walk right back into the team and the defense gets worse, it's hard to not feel like you're responsible for that or somehow like your impact. So mentally, I could see that being a huge issue. And I hope, he has the support he needs and, sports psychologists, whatever, to help him, stay sharp and push through it. I don't know. It just hasn't been super convincing recently. I don't know what the answer is. But it's not, I think, what any of us were hoping for at the moment.
No, and we can't say it's all Becker because Ayhan came in the second half, and it was still them going down the right flank essentially and taking us on. It led to their goal, the only goal they scored. What do you think we have to do? Because this has been 3, 4, or 5 weeks in a row now where teams are just going after our right wing side, and over the last 3 weeks, it's gotten more and more focus on the right wing side. Like, what do you think we can do defensively to kind of watch out for this and kind of adjust to not leave guys like whoever's on the right-hand side and Katić so vulnerable to the one-on-one and the pace race for pace, on that side? What do you think we got to do to prevent that from happening as best we can? Because clearly whatever Musa is trying to do is not working at the moment.
Well, that's kind of what I thought the benefit of the old shape before we moved away from it is when you're playing with a back three, there's less of that space for any of the center backs to have to cover on their own.
Yeah.
And then depending on how aggressive you want to be, if you have the wing backs pinching back as well, like there's a lot of it's harder for those people to be in those moments where they're getting exposed especially for pace, like we talk about with Becker and Katić on the right hand side. So for me, I think it's potentially a shape thing. Now it seems likely that he's probably made that change because of Džeko and the things he wants to try to do offensively, but I don't know if it's necessarily been super helpful overall. Not that we weren't sliding defensively before that either, but I think just in terms of the load, I think sometimes having those additional bodies back there can be useful.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I only thing I can think of that would work without ruining the structure of what Musa is trying to do lately is kind of what we saw. When was it? It was, I want to say, probably 2 years ago. Whenever we had what's that guy who went over to West Ham? Oh my gosh, what is his name? We had him for a really brief time, and he came back again. Oh god, whatever his name's escaping me now. But anyway, he played right back. Churlinov. So we had used him at a point where he played right back, the right wing side, and would drop back defensively and really help out a lot. You see a lot of teams do that. We have, and they have weaker whatever backs they have. They're bringing that midfielder to come in, help defensively out, and then kind of kickstart the attack. So what I want to kind of see is, I don't expect Ljubicic to do it. Maybe if he can, great. He's got fresh legs. Hopefully you want to see that. But if he can't do it, maybe you bring in a guy like Gomes who does have the pace, and his job is to shadow that right side where, like, as soon as they get the ball towards that wing, he's back there helping out El-Fawzi and whoever's on the right-hand side to kind of add an extra body in there so that the center back isn't as exposed. Something, because you don't want to change the formation. I think the holding positions of El-Fawzi and Schallenberg in general are doing well for us. I can see why they went to back four and how it helps Džeko out. But we need to find a way to bring extra bodies on the right-hand side to stop those counterattacks or try to help out the center backs when there is a counter. And you need someone who has pace. Gomes fits that profile, and I guess Ljubicic could, but I know more about Gomes than I do Ljubicic, so I can see how Gomes would work well on that. And you don't have to do it for the whole game. It's just 45 minutes, and then you can swap them out and bring in Ljubicic or Silla, whoever you want, and try to kickstart the attack. I think the way our attack is playing at the moment, at least through Džeko, we could make that sacrifice, and it will still not hurt us tremendously going forward. But that's one idea.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not interested in seeing too much of Gomes at all in the next like handful of matches.
I'm fair. I'm with you.
I just don't think he's done anything of note.
Fair enough.
And I'm not saying it's entirely his fault. Once again, sometimes you get signed because of certain abilities you have, and then you come in and you realize that just the application of that to whatever the system's trying to have you do isn't what you wanted to do. I don't know. He just hasn't been an impact maker. That's not a solution for me. But yeah, I mean, like I said,
How about this? How about Adrian Gantenbeim? we know he likes to press. He can do that. He can do the workhorse straight forward, but he also likes to get back. And so you add him there as an extra defender on the attack just for a short period of time. He's better than Gomez.
Etienne had more moments going forward in the first, like earlier in the season before he got hurt than we had seen from him previously.
Yeah.
And I had totally acknowledged that he was playing better than I had recalled or seen him playing at any time ever. So I'm over that. I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of Porat recently because he also added a spark off the bench offensively a little bit. I mean, mostly just because he'll throw his leg at something occasionally, but there's value in that every once in a while. Probably less so when you have an actual target man on the pitch in terms of Edin Džeko. But I don't know. I'm still waiting to see if there's going to be any times where we see some more youngsters from the attack come back into the picture at all. I think that's potentially where the more interesting solutions are. But if you want to look at our match day squad from this game against Kiel, like none of them are on the bench or anything. So we'll see.
So my last on the comments here is Katić seems to be on the way back. He is. I don't know if I want him involved yet. I think I want to see more Sanchez and Ayhan in the center back role positions before I see Katić, but he is certainly an option. We start going down with a string of injuries. I can certainly
see how desperate we get.
Yeah.
I think for the moment Katić can hang out with Gomes, but like we'll see. We'll see. If there's a couple more matches, maybe we'll be interested in taking another look at Katić. I feel like every time, every team he goes to, there's like a little bit more hype about how he's going to play than like how he actually performs when he gets there. And I don't know, he wasn't consistent enough. And he made some mistakes when he was getting relied upon previously for us.
Now, my last talking point, I want to bring up the games that happened this weekend, right? A lot of interesting results, right? So Nuremberg had a big win, 5-1 in their game, but Kaiserslautern, they won again. Hanover beat Hertha 3-2. Big result there. Braunschweig did us a favor, get a draw. I do too. Elversberg finally won again, and Paderborn drew their game against Bochum. So that was interesting there. But I say all this because I'm trying to show the table here. The table now is a big mess here in the top 5, where you have Paderborn at 40 points at 5th place, and we got 43 points, and we're in 1st place. And you got in between, you got Darmstadt, Elversberg, and Hanover. It's a 5-way race for the top, really 2 spots, but top 3 essentially. There's no room for error at this point. It's a Zweite Liga. Everyone's going to beat up everybody from top to bottom. My question to you is, we saw what teams have tried to beat us up tactically lately. We maybe figured it out because we got the win this last game. Does this team, in your eyes, Jack, do they have the mental strength and fortitude to kind of grind this out and handle this 5-team race here at the end of the season? Do you think we can keep it together good enough? Because no one's expecting us to only give up 10 goals in the second half of the season. Hell, we already gave up 7 goals through a month and a half. So, but do you think this team is strong enough to be able to get the results that they need to stay in a favorable position with these other 4 teams involved?
God, we should be. I mean, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the season. Like, even granting you, I mean, at the halfway point, at the Winterpause, even granting you that the defense overachieved, you felt like we were not playing as well as we could play given our personnel at that point. Like, there was that, like, we were winning the league, but there was room for us to get better and room for us to improve. I think that's only dramatically increased based on the players that we brought in January. Auschwitz, that you're seeing that on the left-hand side, Džeko, like, we are going to continue to be better, I think, offensively than we have been. The question is, for me, as we've said before, can we chill out, the defensive slide that we've seen? If we can, and like I said, I'm not saying we're giving up 10 goals, but if we can give up 20 or like 25 tops, maybe, that kind of a thing in the second half of the season, we get promoted, I think. And mental fortitude, I mean, like, I don't see why we should be any less than anybody else, outside of just Schalke being a chaos club and having maybe additional pressure to get promoted than other teams would potentially. But I mean, like, I trust Muslic and his ability to do that. I trust leaders in the locker room, like, Džeko and Karaman and Karius and people that have, like, been seasoned and played at high levels in big pressure moments to help the team in that respect as well. So I think we're fine.
Yeah, I think overall, I think I'm with you. I think the last point you brought up there, the veteran leadership in the locker room is massive for us. And, like, say what you want to say about Katić being a Plymouth guy, but he went through a relegation battle last year as a Muslic. So that's something you got to hang your hat on. Karius has been there, done that. We've seen in behind the scenes videos where Karius does step up and talk. Obviously, Džeko-to-Karaman is going to do his thing, and Edin Džeko is going to be, he's a natural leader as well. So you have some guys there who've been there, have been these kind of battles before. So they're going to calm the room for those who are nervous. So I love that aspect of it. And I think, to your point, we have the best defense in the league by far. I mean, the next closest is 6 goals away from us defensively. So, yeah, if we give up in that range that you said, 20 to 25 goals, I think we'll be okay. The key is, can we get some things done offensively, score more goals than we give up? That's going to be key, and I think we can. And games like we got Magdeburg coming up here this next game is a great get-right game, right? It could be a trap game, sure, but I think it's a building game where you get out and score early again, let Džeko and company run right in the first half, try to score 2-3 goals, and then hold up shop defensively. That'll build confidence, and then you got Grutterford following that or whatever it is. Do the same thing, and then for that gauntlet that comes at the end of the season, you're gonna have a little bit of a cushion and a lot more confidence, considering that if you play well in these games where you should win. I mean,
this one against Kiel needs to be the first of a 3-game stretch where we win all 3.
Yes.
Have to have the next 2.
Yeah, and I'm with Asynchronous. Says you have the feeling now that there's much more quality in the pitch and the teams need to self-organize themselves. Magdeburg's given up 39 goals this season. Greater First giving up 53 goals this season.
I mean, yeah, come on, let's feast. Let's go. And so I'm confident that the win came at a huge time for us. So ecstatic about that. So let's go. And then just to kind of round this thing out, some news from Schalke Twitter and the Schalke in general. Edin Džeko gets his first kicker 11 team of the week here. I think it's his first one. With his 2 assists in the game. So big shout out to him. He's been huge for us since he's played for us. Džeko-to-Karaman says, we defended well and learned from the last game. The win gives us a lot of confidence. We'll take that with us into the game against Magdeburg. So hopefully see him on the score sheet once again. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Edin Džeko is now 5 goal contributions in his first 4 games for Schalke. Class is permanent. And since this is a Victory Monday, Jack, I kind of want to end this podcast on another victory, a huge victory. Yes, sir.
Die Frauen won against Erlers Spielverein 25-0. This is not a misstep. This is 25 goals. Most of them came in the second half. I mean, they were scoring every minute in this game. This is shout out to the women.
Yeah, there's areas of sort of the goal timeline graphic down there that are starting to look like a barcode because of how tightly packed they are one after the other. So, shout out to the Frauen there.
8 goals in the first half and then the rest in the second half. I mean, they're like a minute apart, like essentially. It's wonderful to see. Good for them. The U17s drew their game against Wiesbaden as well. So, Anyway, I want to give them a shout before we get out of here with the barcode victory there. I like that. Any thoughts here before anything else to talk about here before we get on here?
No, yeah. I mean, look, that was a get-right game. We have 2 more tasty opposition matchups coming up and need to take advantage of them. And I think 100%. That'll tell us a lot about how confident we can feel for the rest of the season. When I say we're good, that doesn't mean I think we're getting promoted necessarily. It just means there's no excuse not to. There's no reason why anybody has a better claim to it than Schalke does at this point. Doesn't mean we're going to see it through, but it's very much in our hands. This was the game we needed to stop the slide. I'm still optimistic about what we can do going forward.
I agree with you. This is all in our hands at the moment, and there's no team that I'm fearful of in this fight. I think every team can get beat. They have been beat, and any team can get a victory at any time. The one team that did worry me was Elversberg in the first half, and they kind of came back down to reality when they sold their star striker, and they haven't been the same since. I think we just keep grinding away, keeping the opposition in check, and eking out these victories, getting a victory, build game upon game. This get-right game is good for us with the 2 coming up. We got to get results in them, the right results, and come back here with a bit of confidence as we head down the final stretch, because it'll be important for us. But I'm happy. I'm with you. We're good in the sense that we're off the schneid. We always have things we can get better on, but we're at least got a little bit of mojo and swagger back to heading into this game against Magdeburg this weekend. So excited for that. Excited to have our first victory Monday of the new year, Jack. It's I wasn't sure if it was going to come. I was getting worried there for a little bit there, so I'm not going to lie. But I digress. Jack, where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMMangan, JMMANGAN on X/Twitter.
Heyo. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, follow us at Schalke America all across social media. Make sure you share us with your friends and let spread the word of Schalke America. And if you haven't done so yet, join our Discord there. So we'll enjoy the rest of your week and get ready for Magdeburg. Hopefully it's an even better result coming into next Monday. So we'll see. For Jack and myself, we'll see you guys soon. Look out.